Hi everyone, happy Monday. Good evening. Going live later in the day today. I've been remiss on this for many weeks and today as well. But I wanted to resume, so going live in the evening, and I think most people are watching the replay anyways. So today's topic is inspired by my dear friend and teacher Juliana Mitchell, who sent me a passage about one of the yogic principles, pratyahara, today. And so I got to thinking about pratyahara, and if you're not familiar, pratyahara, it means, well, one translation of it that I tend to use is withdrawal of the senses. Okay, withdrawal of the senses. And before I share kind of more in detail about what that is, I just want to share that this is a special one for me because in my first yoga teacher training, we were asked to pick a yogic principle. I can't remember if we picked or we were assigned, but anyways, I presented my final presentation on this concept and we got to do it creatively and whatever. So it's interesting how I addressed it then and how I think of it now and how it's evolved and whatever. So anyway, pratyahara is one of the steps in the 8-limbed path of yoga. So the first two steps, those of you that have been following me are probably familiar with, or at least you've heard the words. So the first two steps are the yama and niyama. The yama and niyama are the basic lifestyle principles of yoga. So before we even get to the poses that most people associate with yoga, downward dog, vinyasa yoga, movement, this sort of thing, stretching, that's all part of asana, which is the third limb of yoga. But before that, the yama and niyama. Yama and niyama are the lifestyle principles. So yama are the things that we avoid in a way, what we abstain from in order to be strongly rooted in our practice. And then the niyama are the things that we do in order to be strongly rooted in our practice. And it's how we relate to ourselves, how we take care of ourselves, and also how we relate to the outside world. So those are the first two principles, and there's 5 of each of them, and we go through those in my program, Live Your Yoga, the 13-week transformation, which, by the way, I'm working on right now. I'm launching in September a live version, a live cohort, as well as a recorded version that you can buy online and go through at your own pace at any time. So I'm excited about that. That's in the works. I digress. So yama, niyama, asana, okay, asana like tadasana, trikonasana, adho mukha svanasana, you may have heard these words thrown around before, baddha konasana, asana is at the end of all of those, and it literally means seat, but it's referring to the poses or the physical practice of yoga. That's the third limb. The next limb are the breath practices or the expansion of life force, which is called pranayama. You may have heard that before. There's different practices specifically of pranayama, like Nadi Shodhana is alternate nostril breath. You may have practiced. Kapalabhati, which is breath of fire. My phone is falling. Where you pump your belly. There's various practices of moving the breath and specifically moving the life force energy that illuminates our body, that makes our body different from any other piece of matter, right? So my body is different from this mug right here because I am illuminated by prana. Next, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yama, niyama, asana, pranayama. And then we have pratyahara, which is the one that I'm sort of focusing on mostly for today. Pratyahara is withdrawal of the senses. And so there's 3 more principles after this. And pratyahara is thought to be kind of the bridge between the practices that have to do with the physical world and the practices that have to do totally with the subtle world. Okay, it's very internal. Pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses. So it means that regardless of what is happening around you, regardless of what the stimuli are, whether it's physical stimuli, whether it's emotional, intellectual stimuli, you are still connected with your own cool, calm, collected, peaceful center, regardless of what's happening. So we can practice physical practices of pratyahara by, for example, going outside and sleeping in the snow, or walking through fire, walking on nails, stuff like this. You may have heard of wild yogi stories of things like this. That's a pratyahara practice. And then also just whatever is going around you, whatever the wildness, whatever everyone else is doing, whatever the stimuli are, you are managing to stay focused on whatever it is, on your meditation. An example I like to give for this one in my yoga teacher training is doing a meditation in Times Square, right? There's so much going on, but what if you were to just sit and meditate and focus on your breath or on your own inner light without being drawn in to the push and the pull and the flux of everything that's going on, all the wildness. So that's Pratyahara. I'm going to move on and then I'll come back to that one. So that's the bridge from the outer to the inner. And then we have Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. So Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi are practiced kind of in unison together, in a constant flow. Dharana is concentration. So it's focusing on a fixed point, whether that is a candle, whether that is your breath, whether that is an internal awareness of your soul, whatever it is, you're focusing on something and you're practicing sustaining that concentration. Sustained concentration is dhyana, is meditation. And I've read about this, that most of us are actually practicing dharana, or actually practicing concentration when we say that we're meditating, because we get lost. We concentrate and then our concentration is broken by something and we come back. Okay, so that's dharana. Once it feels fairly easy to sustain, like you can just drop in and meditate, then it's dhyana. I feel like my phone keeps on turning this way. I'll just move. So sustained concentration is dhyana. And then samadhi is the final practice, and that's absorption or bliss. That's when you feel super connected. And it's still a practice, so it's still something that you can practice and then kind of go in and out of. And then ultimately with yoga, these practices lead to a destination of being free, of being emancipated, of being a liberated soul. So those are the 8 limbs. I'm curious, those of you that practice yoga, did you know that? Is there one that you knew? Did you, like, what did you know? What did you not know? Was there anything that surprised you from that? I'd love to hear in the comments. So back to Pratyahara. I'd love to share just kind of my reflection on Pratyahara from my presentation in my yoga teacher training. Anyone who was there, who was in my first teacher training, drop a note in the comments, say hello. Anyway, so I did a presentation where I had everyone kind of move around as if they were the ocean, and then I put someone on an imaginary boat doing like a yoga pose or a meditation, and there was all this stuff going around. There was like sharks, there was fish, whatever. I like simulated this whole thing with kind of like a live theater experience. And the person on the boat, because they were practicing yoga, because they were meditating, whatever, they were able to stay calm even amidst all the stuff going on around. Okay, so I just wanted to share that for my own indulgence almost. Thanks for listening. Anyway, practicing Pratyahara in sort of the day-to-day can look like separating yourself from the stimuli, separating yourself from what's going on, and noticing without being so drawn in. Okay, so without becoming whatever it is. If there's a loud noise going on over there, or if my foot hurts, or if I'm having a big emotional response to something, noticing that without letting it change my inner state. And I'm not saying that I'm so great at this or that it always works, but that's the practice. Sometimes I've definitely gotten a lot better at it. So I will say it's a worthy pursuit. And, you know, yogis who are very far along on the path, much farther along than me, are definitely practicing it. Okay. But yeah, noticing the thing without letting it change you, just being like, wow, interesting. That's happening. Like she's saying that, she's going there. Whoa, this phone has a mind of its own. So just noticing. And then specifically, I like to practice Pratyahara when I'm at the gym and I'm trying to do something really hard. And I sort of practice considering that it's all an illusion, right? That the physical, it's something that's happening in a certain plane, okay? But at the same time, I am connecting with the light of the soul. I'm connecting with the permanent. And so I can do anything, right? You can do anything for 30 seconds or whatever, like however hard it is, however painful it feels, however the emotional reaction feels, I can persevere for that amount of time. And so separating myself from the experience, from the sensation, witnessing it, and using that to be able to move through without getting so attached to, oh my God, this is so hard, this is way too hard, I can't do it, that. Because then you become that. So you have a choice of how you wield your mind, how you wield your consciousness based on the results that you want to create. Okay? So that's Pratyahara. Do I have anything else I want to say about that for right now? I don't think so. I would love to, well, I'm actually running out of time, but I would love to drop in just for a minute of meditation. And I would like to announce that I'm starting Tuning Fork Tuesday. So tomorrow, beginning tomorrow, every Tuesday, I'm going to do a post or a live or something showcasing something about tuning forks, whether it's just like a cute little video or an explanation or a demo or whatever. I'm starting that. Yeah, and give me all your questions. I also offer these tuning fork sessions and sound healing sessions one-on-one and in small groups in my home studio here in Jersey City. So let's just drop in for a few breaths, and then I have to run over to a yoga class. So noticing what you're aware of right now. What are you getting drawn into? What are you getting drawn into? And can you practice just a little bit of detachment from that thing, but in service of coming back to your own center? Regardless of what's going on around you, can you notice all of the sensory information, the sound, the smell, who's doing what you perceive, what you feel drawn to as far as, oh, what should I be doing right now? And just come back to your own center. And just bring your hands to your heart, acknowledging that center. And thanks so much for joining, for listening, and for practicing that return and that separation, this practice of Pratyahara. We'll exhale all the air. Inhale. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you soon. See you tomorrow for Tuning Fork Tuesday. See you next week. Let me know if you're interested in Live Your Yoga. I am going to start doing calls with people and sharing more info about that. See you soon.